So thank you for joining us today for the second webinar in our series, which we're looking at environment and resource efficiency strand of the LIFE programme. And I hope you can hear me okay, and we'll hold for a second again just to make sure everyone can. If you can't, please use the function to the right hand side of the screen. And whilst we wait, I would just like to ask and hope that everyone is doing okay and well at this time. I'm Tangye from the UK Life National Contact Point team at JNCC, and I'm joined by my colleague Jessica Magnus. Hello. If you have any questions, please use the question function to the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll have a section at the end to go through these questions that you've asked. Just to remind you that this webinar is being recorded, and it will be uploaded to our website shortly after this presentation. So we'll see you later, Jess, shall we?
Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera for now, but I will come back for the question and answer session.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Cheers.
See you then.
So, information about LIFE, the new LIFE 2020 call was covered in a webinar which we ran on the 5th of May, and this is available on our website for you to refer back to. Today I will only briefly summarise the new COVID-19 measures which the Commission has introduced and highlight the key deadlines. We will look at the project topics of the environmental resource efficiency strand and sort of exemplar projects. I will also go through the JNCC support services and suggested further reading for you. Then we'll have a question and answer section at the end, and as I've stated, please use the question function to the right-hand side of your screen. For anyone who attended or watched the first webinar 2 weeks ago, this will sound familiar, but for everyone who is new to LIFE, I'd like to reiterate that the UK government has confirmed that UK organisations can continue to be eligible for the EU LIFE Fund in the 2020 call, even with the call timetable stretching into 2021 and beyond the transition period. Successful projects will have their funding guaranteed for the lifetime of their project. But the government has also confirmed that the UK will not associate with the LIFE programme as a third country following the end of this transition period. So this is the last chance of getting LIFE funding. Here is a brief summary of the new measures the Commission has introduced in the 2020 call to help applications with the COVID pandemic. We've talked about them in more detail in the What's New webinar last week. So if you'd like to refer back to it, go to our website. So the new measures are, all submission deadlines have been extended by 1 month, which is reflected in this presentation. Private entities in the 2020 call are no longer obliged to launch open tenders for contracts above €139,000. However, when purchasing goods and services, they will need to comply with the value for money and absence of conflict of interest requirements within their sort of procurement rules, and these need to be respected. In previous calls, private entities were obliged to get open tenders for contracts a lot lower. So this new measure will help saving time and money. All projects will be allowed to financially support local initiatives that may contribute to the project's objective. This will take the form of small grants that the beneficiary may give within certain limits to third parties responsible for such initiatives. In this way, LIFE hopes to facilitate access to LIFE financing to small local groups that do not have the capacity to act as an association beneficiary in the project, but could play a role in reaching the project's objectives. The grants can be up to €20,000, and over the lifespan of the project, there is €100,000 that could be allocated for these grants. You just need to stipulate these in the proposal with sort of the rationale, the expected results, and how they will be managed and manage the process, the criteria, select the entity, and to list the types of activities these third parties may receive for the financial support. There is a special section on startup companies and has been integrated into the guidelines. In this section, LIFE invites larger companies to use their LIFE project as a potential incubator for startups. Normally, startups don't qualify as a coordinating beneficiary due to their limited financial capacity. They will, however, be a key player, owner of know-how or knowledge in partnership with the larger company. In this way, the startup may be given the chance to move to a full market development, and the larger company will gain access to the knowledge while limiting the risks thanks to the life support. The payment schedule for 2020 projects has also been amended to help with the financial implications caused by the pandemic. The pre-financing rate has been increased to 40% from 30%, with the second payment at 40% and the final payment at 20%. This has also been applied to the 2019 successful projects. If you have any questions about these new measures, then please use the question function or contact us via our helpline or email. So, deadlines. Once you have submitted the concept note by the 14th of July, you will receive feedback in October 2020. And if your project was successful, you'll be invited to proceed to stage 2 and submit the full application in February 2021. The Commission will evaluate these submissions between February and June next year, and if you have been successful, you'll be awarded funding once the grant agreement has been signed in July 2021. Therefore, the earliest start dates would be the 1st of September for these environmental sub-projects under the Environment and Resource Efficiency strand. So, why life? Someone has had a great idea for a project, but there's no money in-house. So you want to try and find a funder, and someone's mentioned life. But like all funders, life has very specific requirements, and it's essential that you understand what they will and won't fund, or you'll waste a lot of time, energy, and ultimately fail. And we don't want that. When? Well, advice will normally be it takes between 6 months to put a life bid together. In many cases, the project will be an idea that someone's had it for a long time, and often some of the actions are well thought out. So it's just a matter of putting them together within the life submission. This can be no small matter though. You also need to take into account the summer holiday period in your planning process. The concept notes will be submitted during the summer holiday period, and if you need to get sign off from finance or executive colleagues and so on. So it's worth factoring these in, as people might be hard to get hold of, even though this year's holidays will be a very different scenario, I'm sure. So you're interested in applying for a life environment project, and here are some of the basic things you need to know. The average project runs between 3 to 5 years. Life co-finance projects and the co-financing rate is 55% for environment and resource efficiency projects. This means that you'll have to find 45% of the overall budget from other sources. Finding match funding can be a big stumbling block for applications, so don't let this happen to you. The average project budget is between 1 and 5 million euros. Anything below 1 million euros will not necessarily be of interest to Life. Life wants to fund big projects, but it's not unheard of. Most projects have multiple partners. It is not an obligation to have a partner, but most projects do have between 2 and 5 partners. There is also no requirement to have a European partner, although projects can gain up to an extra 4 points during the evaluation phase for being transnational. And this is important. Life does not fund research or monitoring projects or large items of infrastructure. You should look at the Horizon 2020 if you'd like funding for those sort of projects. So the LIFE programme has 2 main sub-programmes, climate action and environment. The climate action programme covers climate mitigation, climate adaptation, and climate governance and information. The environment programme covers nature and biodiversity, environment resource efficiency, which we'll be focusing today on, and environmental governance and information. So, now we'll be coming into the Life Environment Resources strand. So what is environment and resource efficiency? Funding will be allocated to the best proposal in terms of innovative solutions for important environmental issues, leading to viable as well as quantitative measurable concrete results. Proposals must be quite highly visible and technical and financially sound. They should incorporate the dissemination of knowledge. The demonstration character is particularly important. So projects must be implemented on technical scale that allows evaluation of technical and economic viability of large-scale introduction. And environment and resource efficiency is not directed or at investment in existing technologies. LIFE aims to bridge the gap between research and policy and development results for wider implementation and to improve innovative solutions. So projects must therefore develop, test and demonstrate policy or management approaches, best practices and solutions to environmental challenges, and in support of resource efficiency related policy legislation, including the roadmap to a resource efficient Europe. Also improve the knowledge basis of the development, implementation, assessment, monitoring and evaluation of union environmental policy and legislation, and for the assessment and monitoring of these factors, pressures, responses and the impact on the environment within and outside the union. The environment and resource efficiency strand is the biggest and broadest strand within Life Environment subprogram. It includes a total of 29 project topics with 5 different thematic priorities which cover the whole length and breadth of the environmental spectrum. The thematic priorities are grouped together within 5 themes which include water, including the environmental and water industry, waste, including hazardous waste, resource efficiency, including soils, forests, and green and circular economy, environmental and health, which includes chemicals and noise, and air quality and emissions, which includes the industrial emissions and urban environment. And please refer to pages 22 to 31 of the guidelines for a list of specific project topics under each of these thematic headings. I'll list a few of the main project topics to give you a flavour of what this programme has to offer. Please let me know if you have any specific questions to a project topic by contacting us after the webinar or using the Q&A session at the end. Under the water heading, the Commission, for example, is encouraging projects that address flood and drought risk management, reducing pressures from chemical pollutants and implementing water saving measures. For more detailed breakdown of that, go to page 22 of the guidelines. The water theme also includes marine and coastal management projects, which should focus on the sustainability of human activities related to the marine environment and preventing and reducing marine litter or contaminants. Projects under the water industry heading include elimination or diminishing discharges of emerging pollutants and or pathogens, or the solutions and treatments options regarding cycling and reclaimed water. And once again, pages 22 of the guidelines for that. So waste is another top priority of the LIFE programme, and there are various topics under the waste heading, including the implementation of EU waste legislation, the identification of and separation of hazardous chemicals contained in wastes. Waste and resource efficiency are projects that contribute towards the objectives and waste of towards the roadmap and resource efficient Europe and the 7th Environment Action Programme. In particular, projects should focus on reducing waste, maximising recycling and reuse, limiting incineration to non-recyclable materials, and limiting landfill to non-recyclable and non-recoverable waste. Listed a few of the specific project topics on this slide, and for more details, please go to the Environmental Resource Efficiency Guidelines, page 25. Under resource efficiency, green and circular economy projects are encouraged to focus on the implementation of the circular economy concept. So projects to integrate sustainable soil management practices or close to nature forest management approaches. And please check the guidelines, pages 27 for that. With regard to environment and health, new methods to reduce the impacts of chemicals, noise and industrial accidents on the environment and human health should be explored. For example, the Commission would like to see projects that reduce noise from roads inside densely populated urban areas and reduce the impact of the environment or human health from listed chemicals. Also new to Life 2020 call, applicants are encouraged to look at proposals which could deal with the impacts of future pandemics. And pages 30 in the guidelines for this. The thematic priority of air quality and emissions, including urban environment, focuses on the implementation of air quality legislation and a comprehensive approach to urban environmental problems. Air pollution remains one of the most serious environmental health problems in Europe, with a mortality rate than 10 times higher than that of road traffic accidents, and also having a significant impact on ecosystems. So, for example, 70% of the EU's Natura 2000 sites suffer from eutrophication as a result of air pollution. So projects under this heading could focus either on air quality legislation, including the National Ceiling Emissions Directive or the Industrial Emissions Directive, or on sustainable road transport solutions and urban health environmental improvements. And for more on the guidelines, please go to pages 31. And if you have any questions, please contact us or use the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So this should have given you a flavour of the different thematic properties and project topics. Again, please contact us after the webinar if you would like to discuss a project idea or application in more detail. We're here to help, and we're very happy to. I will now highlight the aspects which are also important when considering environmental resource efficiency projects. The project character must be either a pilot or demonstration project. So pilot projects are applying or testing a new technology, technique, or method which has not been tested before. So it's a completely novel concept. A demonstration project, on the other hand, is applying methodologies or approaches in a new context. You also need to be aware that you cannot make a profit until the project has ended, but close to market projects are encouraged, and there is a specific section in the guidelines on page 34 which lists the requirements of close to market projects. So for example, you'll have to demonstrate the technical readiness of the project, technical process, the scale and output of the project, the quantification of the environmental benefits, and marketing positioning. So supply chain, competitors, is it how economically feasibility is it? And here is a short summary of the key lessons learned from previous calls. You may have heard us say this before, but we include this slide in every webinar, as many projects fail which needn't fail if they observe these key points. So LIFE projects must show EU added value. This is a European funding stream. You need to demonstrate why your problem is of union concern. If you do not do this, the project will not be funded. You can't stress that enough. Innovation. You need to demonstrate that you are testing an environmental or climatic solution which is novel across the EU. This is especially important for environmental resource efficiency projects. Value for money. Does the expected results on the ground warrant the project costs? Does your project offer value for money? One of the best ways to ascertain this is by going through the database and looking at previously funded LIFE projects to see what they are delivering for their total cost. Quantifiable objectives are another way that evaluators determine the value for money. Therefore, it is essential that you know the baseline and extent of the environmental problem you are tackling before your project begins. This is one of the main reasons for failing LIFE projects. You also need to build on previous LIFE projects if you have that phase, and you need to know and you need to show how these results will be sustained without additional resources from LIFE. So please take these into consideration when you're putting together a proposal. I'll now introduce you to a few exemplar projects which have been funded by a Life Resource Efficiency strand in the past. And please also have a look at the Life project database, which is available on the Commission's Life website, and see what kind of projects have been funded in the past. It is a really useful resource. So the first exemplar project is Life Laser Fence project, which was led by John Moore University in Liverpool, with partners in Spain and in the Netherlands. The project is coming to an end this year, but has been running since 2016. The project applied an innovative technology to keep animals away from agricultural fields using existing laser fence technology in order to reduce rodenticides and pesticides. They're hoping for savings of around 1,620 kilograms of rodenticide over 3 years, over 9,000 hectares of land. And it anticipates that it will save nearly 5,000 kilograms entering the trophic chain over the 3 years after the project. Life Acumen, assessing, capturing and utilising methane from expired and non-operational landfill. They established the technical need and economic viability of capturing, using and mitigating methane from closed landfill sites. This contributed to a reduction in the 12.9 million tonnes a year of CO2 equivalent emitted from closed landfill sites in the UK. And this was led by the Environment Agency for England and Wales, with a budget of 2.9 million, and it ran from 2012 to 2015. Life ECAP was cutting the environmental impact across the clothing supply chain and generating value for business through collection, measuring and sharing best practices. This adopted a circular approach to divert over 90,000 tonnes a year of clothing waste in the UK and eventually 700,000 tonnes by 2030. This saved more than 1.6 million tonnes of CO2 emissions and 560 million cubic water savings. This was led by RAP with a budget of 3.5 million and ran from 2015 to 2019. So, is Life for you? What do you do next? Make sure Life is the appropriate funding instrument for you. It does not fund research, large infrastructure or monitoring projects. So please set aside time to read the multi-annual work programme and the guidelines carefully. And also take time to prepare. It can take up to 4 to 6 months to prepare a concept note. Has your project been done before? Please check the Life project database. It's really important that you do. And how will your project develop on previous work if you're doing something similar? Now, before I come to a close, I would like to highlight a few of our services which are available to you. As I have already said, we are currently running a series of webinars to help applicants during the 2020 call. We ran a webinar on what's new in the 2020 call, which is now available on our website, and this gives you a general overview of the Life programme. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend you watch it, as it contains all the information you need for the 2020 call. We are also running an application writing webinar on the 2nd of June, so do sign up for this if you're interested. Also, Scottish Enterprise are running a webinar on climate action on the 21st of May, which we are presenting at. So please contact us if you are interested. The concept note template and guidance is also available on our website. The concept note is modelled on the e-proposal application form and should help you with filling it in. We also offer a pre-screening service for concept notes, which will be open on the 8th of July and close on the 3rd on the 8th of June and close on the 3rd of July. So do make sure that you get your draft concept notes in early. In January to February next year, we'll be offering a pre-screening service for this full stage 2 full applications. Also to note, e-proposal can get very busy on the last days, so get your applications in early, as I think it has been known to crash occasionally. And of course, you can always contact us via the helpline or email us at uklife@jncc.gov.uk. We're here to help. We want you to succeed. And finally, we've included a few links on this slide of some useful resources of information. Hopefully you've come across most of them at this stage, but do take time to go through them. They will aid you in your application. Please send across any questions you may have using the question function to the right-hand side of the screen, and we'll go through them now. Or alternatively, please feel free to follow up with any questions into our live mailbox or via our helpline. Thank you again for listening. Stay safe and good luck with your proposals. I hope you found this informative, and we'll go through the questions now. So just give us a moment, and Jessica, if you would come back on.
Yeah, I am back on, I think. Hello. Thank you, Tom. Yes, do please send across any questions you might have using the questions function on the right-hand side of your screen, or alternative, do contact us offline afterwards at our UK Live inbox, email inbox. We had a question from Dahima. I answered that during the webinar, but I just can repeat. I'm not sure if everyone could see that. So Dahima asked if the concept note can fit in more than 2 priority areas and within more than 2 topics. For example, water recycle, water management, water waste, and resource efficiency. And I answered and said yes. So you can choose a maximum of 2 project topics, but you don't need to choose 2 topics. As we normally recommend just to focus on one. But if you choose a project topic, you have to make sure you comply with all the elements of this topic. And if you choose 2 topics, obviously you have to comply with all the elements of the 2 topics. You won't get additional points if you have 2 project topics. So that's why we normally recommend just to focus on one topic. Of course, you can have elements contributing to other environmental policies or other topics like wastewater and resource efficiency or climate change or nature and biodiversity. And you can add these in your EU added value section, and that will give you additional points during the evaluation if you're contributing to other European environmental policies. So I hope that answered the question. Were there any more? Any more questions, anyone?
If you come up with a question later on, please do contact us via the helpline or email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think there were no more questions, so it must have been all pretty clear. Anyway, as we said, if you can think of any more questions, do contact us. We are here to help. Yeah. And good luck with your applications. And thank you again for joining us this morning. And do stay safe and sane during these difficult times. Okay, we're going offline. Okay,
take care, everyone.
goodbye. Thank you. Bye.